Good evening. Welcome to Charting the Course. I am your host, Tumika Patrice Cain. And yesterday, when we left off, we were talking about the need to have a silent moment to be able to hear what your authentic self is saying. And so hopefully you've had a chance to do that. And if not, any time's a good time, right? So, and the necessity to be able to carve out time for yourself in this land of busyness, right? Everything, we're just so busy all the time. So anyway, hopefully you've had a chance to do that and to be able to ask yourself some of the more pertinent questions, where am I? What is it that I want to do? What will make me happy? Am I happy? And we talked about how we are able to have both abundance and poverty in different areas of our lives simultaneously, and how abundant living is authentic living, and authentic living is honest living, being honest with yourself about where you are, who you are, what you want, all of that, right? Even in the face of not being popular in the opinions of others, it still is being honest with yourself about what it is that you want, and being willing to live in that place of honesty, right? So this is the next piece of that. Now we've heard about things like, writing goals. And so after you've had a chance to explore, what your inner self is telling you would bring you the greatest joy, the greatest pleasure, the greatest happiness, the greatest peace, whatever it is that would make you feel like you were living the life that you were that you would most desire to live, and that you were even sent here to live. Then the next piece of that would be to write those things down. And so I want to talk about that. Why is it important to write the vision? Okay. And so this is not like a religious, kind of show or anything like that, but spiritual principles, are what they are, and they are real and true for all of us. So there is a scripture that comes to mind in Habakkuk chapter 2, which talks about writing the vision and making it plain, right? Okay, and so the reason we want to write the vision is, first of all, it's just a dream until we write it down, and then it becomes a goal, right? And as we go through life, sometimes we need to be reminded of what it is that we want. And so that's part of why we write the vision. We write it down. And so not only do we need to be encouraged sometimes, but we also need to be able to have a starting point. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do here. This is the mission here, right? This is the list that I am going to kind of govern my life by, to determine if I'm on track with the things that mean the most to me and the stuff that I want to do in my life, right? Okay. So, but the vision is for an appointed time, right? And so you may start off on a journey to accomplish a goal, but it may not be an immediate manifestation of fruition of that goal, right? It may take time. It may take you having to go through school. We talked yesterday, some of you know that you need to go back to school and take some classes, finish a degree, get a different degree, get a degree, whatever, right? In order to be able to do the next thing that's on your list to do. And so, for anybody who has gone the college route, that it does not happen overnight. Sometimes it gets rough. You may have lots of assignments going on at one time, not including whatever's going on in your regular personal everyday life anyway, right? And then you have all this stuff added on top of that, right? So, sometimes we need to be reminded and encouraged. Not only that, we also talked about how there were things that draw others to us: beauty, money, talent, abilities, all of those things, right? And so people will see something in you and they will automatically just say, oh, I could use that, right? And so then they start talking to you about what it is that they want. But without that vision being written down, it's very easy to be kind of talked off course, oh, sure, that sounds good. Why not go there? Yeah. And yet your vision is for a certain thing. And like, we're not called to operate in every lane, right? When you are on the freeway and you're driving your car, you have multiple lanes, but you can't drive all of those lanes at one time, right? You can only drive one lane at a time. There's a reason for that. And so it's kind of that same thing when we are going through this process. We can only work one lane at a time. And so it's best for you to stay in your lane. I just had a flashback some years ago. I knew two ladies that were very gifted when it came to sewing. One designed clothes. They both made clothes. Just really, really beautiful stuff, and they were very different personalities. And, one was very flamboyant and, her stuff was just really kind of, eye-catching and wow, right? Just pop. You walk in the room wearing her stuff and everybody's going to notice. The other lady was more, she was more classic and classy and subdued, and her styles were more sophisticated. So it was for a different clientele. Now, the lady who did the more sophisticated types of garments was a person who knew who she was. She knew her purpose. She knew who she was called to reach. So she had her target audience. And she was a person who also knew how to stay in her lane. She didn't have time to envy anybody doing anything else because she could only prosper in her lane. And she understood that. The other lady had all kinds of insecurities about things. And so she was always all over the place in everybody else's lane, and then jealousy and envy and all kinds of stuff like that would kick in. And she couldn't understand, well, why is so-and-so, buying her stuff, but they're not buying mine, because it wasn't her audience, right? So, when you are in your lane, doing what you are called to do and focus on your vision and with your goals in mind and with your mission and all of that stuff, right? It's very easy to put your blinders on like a horse and to be able to just stay forward, and keep your eyes focused forward and on the prize because you know where it is that you're going. However, if you're all over the place, then you can't get where you're trying to go, and you're not even accomplishing the things that you need to be accomplishing, right? So I bring that up because, sometimes we look at other people and there might be something that, kind of stings on the inside of you, why is so-and-so, why did they get there faster than me? Why are they making more money than me? All this other stuff. And yet, we're not all at the same place at the same time. Our journeys are different, right? And I said when we first started that the journey, the vision is for an appointed time. So you're writing it down because, it's there to keep you on track, to encourage you, to help you to not veer off, and to help you to know where it is that you're going, because it will take time for you to get there as you are just putting one foot in front of the other and doing one activity, one thing, the next thing on the list that there is to do. And so it's important for you to know what the vision is, because, like no one else is going to get the vision for your life in quite the same way that you get the vision for your life. You are the CEO of your life, right? And so you get the vision, and then it will be your responsibility to relay that vision in a way that others are able to see it and then buy into it, and then help you to accomplish the vision in whatever place or purpose that they are supposed to serve in the midst of that, right? But no one is going to get the vision for your life in quite the same way that you'll get it. Sometimes people won't even understand what the heck you're doing. There are people who are called to be kind of like pioneers and trailblazers. I know that's been me in my family, the first one doing all kinds of stuff. And people don't always get it. Oh, that's a dreamer. No, well, yeah, I'm a dreamer, but I'm more than just a dreamer. I'm a doer, And so people don't always understand. And, when people have their mouths on you and they're naysaying and, everybody's talking, you have to be able to go within yourself and tap into that authentic place, that honest place, and remind yourself, okay, why am I doing this? What is the purpose? And have I really, because sometimes we get confused, sometimes we get discouraged, sometimes we wonder, like, why the heck hasn't it come to pass yet? I've been working on this thing for years. What the hell, right? And yet the vision is for an appointed time. And so, there's all kinds of things that take place while we are in that appointed time place, right? Okay, so you write the vision. And so the rest of that scripture talks about, you write the vision to make it plain, so that he who runs may read it. And though the vision tarries, wait for it will not surely tarry. It sounds like I just said a whole mouthful, right? And it also sounds like I'm talking all over the place and like I'm contradicting myself. But it means something. Every single piece of that means something. So you're writing the vision. Why? Because it's for an appointed time. It's not going to happen immediately. There's stuff that you're going to have to do in order to get there. And the journey is worth it. And, there are some things that need to happen. Like, we are not born ready for everything it is that we want in life. We are not born ready to receive everything it is that we're asking for, right? Your newborn baby is not ready for a Lamborghini at birth, right? They're not even ready for a Lamborghini at 16. Right? So, like, there's stuff that they have to learn, they have to mature, they have to grow. More than likely, the person's first car is going to be something, something old and bangy, like, an Escort or a Pinto. There's a reason for that, right? So as they're learning how to drive, and they're out there acting a fool with their friends and, cutting corners and running lights and all this foolish stuff the kids do, never, always thinking that they're invincible. If they do happen to tear some stuff up, when they're learning how to parallel park and they're bumping into cars in the front and bumping into cars in the back, they're not tearing up something of great value. They're just tearing up something, that's of a little bit of value. Not that the car is not valuable, just a little bit of value, right? Okay. And so, as they get older and they get more mature and they understand the magnitude of what it is that they have, that they're being given, then the gifts increase with maturity, right? And with that comes mindset, so I'm clearly someone who, has a throwaway mindset is not in the mental space to be able to have something significant like a Lamborghini, a Porsche, a Mercedes, right? It's not the right mindset. Those are for people who understand the value of what it is that they have, who can appreciate and be good stewards of what they have been blessed with, right? So I say all of that to say this, so as we start off on our journey, there's just stuff that we pick up in life, good things, not so good things, counterproductive things. And so we have these mindsets, and we can't take those old mindsets into the new place that we're going because it's not productive for where we are, And so let's use this for example. You want to be married, right? But you spent your life, single. And, or maybe you were a person who was like, I'm never getting married. I'm going to hop from person to person and I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to date everybody I want to date and, do whatever it is that I want to do. I'm not getting tied down. And then you meet someone or you decide, maybe all your friends start getting married. And you're like, okay, so my pool of single folks to hang out with has gotten really small. And now, my crew is getting married and their babies are popping up and all this kind of stuff. Okay, right. So a single person's mindset is very different than that of a person who's married, right? Very different. And so, you have to transition. So what happens is when a person, who is single-minded, enters a relationship, but they have kept their status in their minds of I'm single. Well, what happens with that? It's selfish, it's self-centered, it's all about me. And it becomes destructive for the very thing it is that they wanted, right? So you may want this relationship, but you're still thinking like a solo person. And you can't be in that same mindset when you get with someone. It's not all about you. That other person matters just as much as you do, and we'll have some relationship talks on a different night. This is not the night for that, but I bring that up because there are things that we want, but there's stuff that has to happen. There's processes that need to take place to help mature us. We have to cut off all that old stuff because we are not ready for where we're going, And so you may have heard, oh, your gifts will make room for you. And they will, And so whether it's a gift or a talent or, or whatever, whatever it is that you're focusing on will make room for you. And it will, like the things that you want really are available to you in the universe. And like, there's no shortage of any of it, right? But you can have access to something that you're not ready for and then mess it up. But I don't know about you, but I've worked too hard and I've made too many sacrifices and I have done too much internal work to get something that I've been believing for, working for, wanting for a long time, only to let immaturity and poor mindsets make me sabotage it for myself, right? I hope you understand what I'm saying. So the need to go through the journey is important. It's very important, in fact, because even though there's a direct route from where you are to where you're going, the direct route doesn't allow for the excess baggage to fall off, you to work that stuff off, those scales to be removed, for you to see yourself, and so sometimes what's necessary for us is for us to take a winding, curvy path to get somewhere. Now, like the shortest distance between two places is a straight line, right? And yet when you throw in curves, it adds extra time and distance between point A and point B. And yet there's stuff that you get on that curvy road that prepares you for point B that you would not have gotten if you had gotten the direct route. Sometimes we get things too soon. We're not ready for them. And so the journey is meant to prepare us so that we can keep what we've worked for, so we can keep what we've been asking for, so that we can keep what we've been believing for, right? So you're writing the vision for all of that because that journey between point A and point B on that winding path takes time to get there. And when things pop up, and things will pop up, like I said, opportunities come up, all kind of stuff, that sounds so good, but it's not necessarily good for you. It's not necessarily good for where you're trying to go. And so the vision helps you to say, oh, nope. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for seeing such greatness in me, but I'm going to have to pass on that because that's not for me. That actually takes me away from what it is that I am trying to do with my life. And so, it does that. It also helps you to be able to recognize who's supposed to be on the path with you and who's not. Because now counterfeits exist all over the place, right? There are things that look like what you're asking for. And yet when you step back, like I said yesterday that your authentic self always knows truth. Truth recognizes truth. I'm going to say that again. Truth recognizes truth. The truth in you will recognize the truth in somebody else too. So whether that truth is a positive truth, like, yes, we are on the same page, we're on the same frequency, we're on the same level, yes, let's get it, right? Or that truth recognizes a negative truth, oh no, this person here is just trying to ride my coattails. This person here doesn't really want to have to do any work. They're just trying to use me. Because truth recognizes truth always. Okay, that might be one of those things you might want to put on your mirror or something, just to remind yourself, because sometimes we know the truth and yet we allow ourselves to second guess ourselves, and we talk ourselves out of what we know, right? And then we wonder, how in the world, how did I get there? because we talked ourselves out of the truth that we knew, right? Sometimes we know that, that move over there, no, that's not really the place where I need to be. That community didn't feel good when I went in there. Nope. I know that so-and-so's been asking me to move down here to this state or, this region. It just doesn't feel right, because truth recognizes the truth. Truth always will recognize the truth that you need for your life and to be able to function, successfully in your life. That's very powerful, and I don't know about you, but for me, that's really a comfort too, to know that I don't have to be stressing myself out and wondering and, here and there and just like, oh, what is going on? I don't have to do that, because I can get quiet. I can take that moment, and get quiet and really just exhale, take a moment and hear what truth is speaking to me. You know what, Tumika? Yeah, that sounds like a really great opportunity over there, but nope. Yes, I know so-and-so really wants you to help them with that project. So-and-so really talk to you about, partnering in business, but you know what? That person really has a history of screwing over people. So don't be the next person that they screw over. That person really doesn't want to have to work for anything. They know that you are a worker, so they want to use you and benefit off of your labor and your efforts. And not really. So I just use, I just pull random examples, because I feel like you can really get that, they want to use you for your expertise, but don't want to pay you, all that kind of stuff, right? Time out for the nonsense, right? Because truth recognizes truth. And so when you know the truth, you know how to deal with the truth. So here's one of those things, and I just believe that, I think that most people are praying people. Like I said, this is not a religious, show. Even though I believe that I'm a very spiritual person, but not a religious person at all. But I believe that most people know how to tap into the God inside themselves, right? And so I think that people pray, and sometimes we need to pray for fortitude for ourselves and some things. There are people who don't always know how to say no, or don't always know how, they don't want to disappoint anybody. So sometimes they sacrifice themselves, they get themselves all caught up in stuff because they don't want to disappoint somebody, And so for those people, I would say that you need to spend just a little time in prayer, and just asking God or the universe or whatever it is that you believe in, to help fortify you to be able to stand strong and to say no when you need to say no. Let your no be no. Let your yes be yes. And to let you flow in the space where you need to. Because it's not enough just to know what to do. You have to be able to actually do what you need to do. And so, that'll kind of be my prayer for you, as I, just as I lift you all up, because, I'm a praying person. I like to pray. Prayer, to me, prayer is not personal. It's just a tool, right? It's just a tool to, invite the God of the universe in, and that works for me, right? So I know there have been times when I've needed a little something extra, where I just really didn't want to disappoint anybody. I didn't want to, I just like to keep things peaceful and easy and smooth. But you know what? Peace has a place and smooth has a place, but not at the expense of myself. And guess what? Not at the expense of yourself either. So there's all this stuff that you do, and the journey is meant to prepare you for the next place that you're going to. And we talked about that winding road and why it's meant to be winding, and there are things on that stuff that will come up that will trigger old behaviors. Well, it's there for a reason, and it's necessary. Don't fight it. Whatever it is that the universe allows to come up, deal with it. Recognize it for what it is and deal with it. Remember, authentic living is honest living. So, don't lie to yourself about how you do stuff. Don't lie to yourself and say, oh, I'm totally accountable. No, you're not. When you know that you're not, you could be a person who likes to throw rocks and hide your hand and then play the victim. If that's your truth, own that. It's important for you to own the truth, because the stuff that you don't deal with comes back around later on and trips you up. But remember, like, the journey is not necessarily an easy journey. The journey isn't quick. So why waste time dealing with stuff that you don't necessarily have to deal with when you can just be honest with yourself about where you are, who you are, and where you need to change, and then invite change to come in, right? So if you're a person who doesn't like to be accountable, if you're a person who doesn't like authority, if you are a person who's, who's secretly envious of people and sabotaging other people's stuff, if you are a person who, you just see people as a means to an end, you're a narcissist, you use people, whatever your truth is, own that truth and deal with it, because it's going to jam you up later on if you choose not to. See, that'll be the stuff. Your gifts will place you before great men, but it's going to be your character that allows you to stay there. But if you don't get your character in check, if you don't change your mindset about things, all that stuff that's counterproductive is going to interfere with the process. It's going to interfere with you being able to actually realize what it is that you're supposed to have. And you'll never have the full victory in your life that you're supposed to have if you won't own your truth about who you are, And I admit, the hardest person to examine is oneself, and yet that's the person that we need to be examining. Forget what the heck somebody else is out there doing. That ain't got nothing to do with us. Let them own their stuff. You and I, we need to own our stuff, right? Because we're the only ones walking our journey. We're the only ones able to do this. This is just, I can't live your life for you. You can't live my life for me. All I can do is do me. All you can do is do you, right? So, we can encourage other people. We can love on other people. We can give a little correction with love if necessary. But ultimately, it's up to that person to live their truth as well, And so when we get to a point where we are, where we have exhausted what we're able to do, you just put it out there and let somebody else deal with their stuff. So I don't know about you, but that's actually like that stuff kind of encourages me, because I have time for everything it is that's in my life that I'm supposed to do. Now, that was important, supposed to, because like sometimes we get wrapped up in stuff that's not what we're supposed to be doing. So then it ends up being time wasters. But for everything it is that you and I need to do in order to get where we're trying to go, we have every available resource at our fingertips right now. It doesn't all manifest right now. It manifests as we need it, as we walk. And this is why we just keep walking the journey, walking the path. Everything that you need is on your destiny path, waiting on you to get there. So you don't have to strive for things. I didn't say you didn't have to work for things, but you don't have to strive for things. And, striving is, I gotta get there. This frantic kind of thing, you want to flow in a place called effortless ease. You just want to it's one of those things you just kind of toss up into the universe and just keep it going. Hey God, I'd like to, whatever, maybe not talking to God, maybe you're just talking to yourself, I think I'd like to go to Paris, and you know what? You just keep it moving. You don't, gotta get there. Nope. You don't go in that frantic place, because then that takes you out of effortless ease, and it's funny because when you're flowing in ease, then you wake up, and opportunities just start coming and you're like, what? I was just thinking about that. Kid you not. I have an interesting life, and I just find, I want some China, and my mother was with an old friend of hers. Now, this woman had been married, had grown kids, grandchildren, everything. her husband had been deceased, all of this. And she had this china that she had gotten as a wedding present, never, ever used it. And mom just happened to be over there, a woman sister out the blue. Oh, you know what, girl, take this china to your daughter. I think she'd like that. And that was really one of those things that I just threw up into the universe, right? Oh, I want some china. Somebody else, not too long after, somebody else says, oh, I need to clean this storage out. I got all this stuff in there. And there was this whole set, oh, here, I want you to have this. It was a set of china, right? I kid you not. Was I striving for it? No. And that's why it came, because I wasn't striving. And I know that's very difficult, because it seems like the stuff that we want the most, that's the stuff, like, our mind is on it all the time. Like, I want it, and yet you need to not focus on it. Like, and so, like, here's just kind of something like a tool, if you will. When I think about what it is that I want, like, we are in a different session, we'll talk about like gratitude and, about confessions and the things that we say and all that kind of stuff, and things that we can do to kind of bring in the stuff that we want to manifest. But, one of the things that I have found to be helpful is when I want to start stressing myself about something, or I want to get to that frantic place, I'll just simply say, I am so happy and grateful now that, and whatever it is that I want, I put it in a present tense. And so, that's me acknowledging that I'm exercising gratitude. I am focusing on not really focusing on the future. I'm focusing on the now. And because I'm happy and grateful right now for it, I'm actually pulling it from the future into the now. I hope that makes sense to you, And so I am so happy and grateful now that, and then you fill in the blank. I'm a best-selling author. I'm happily married. I'm a world traveler, whatever your thing is. I'm a successful business owner, right? Whatever your thing is. I am so happy and grateful now that, right? And it's funny what happens is how quickly, that even just confessing that. And so, like, whenever will help change your mindset, will help change the energy and stuff around you, and help, like, bring your frequencies and stuff higher. And so, like, whenever you find yourself fearful or doubting or frustrated because it's taken so damn long, whatever that thing is that has you where you're not at your happiest, most cheerful place, just remind yourself and say out loud, I am so happy and grateful now that, and then fill in your blank, right? And so, even that is a mindset shift, right? Because that's typically not how we handle things. We think, oh, let me figure out how to do this and how to do that. But then that mindset gets us, and it gets us all worried and frazzled, and actually pushes what we want further away from us. So we are going through the journey, and we are allowing all the stuff to slosh off. And, kind of like we get a pedicure, right? And they go in there and they get all that extra stuff, off your feet, and then they do the layers of stuff, right? But all that other stuff has to come off first, so that it can be prepared for, for the final outcome, and for the pretty presentation, so that you can look cute in your high heel sandals. Right? Shoe lover. Okay. So, but I say that because, you need to know that sometimes when you are on the journey, sometimes things will not feel comfortable. Don't stop yourself from going through the process. Go through the process so that when you get where you're going, you are fully prepared to be able to handle where you're going. Like, you've worked for it. I'm going to say that again. You've worked for it. Right? So, and remember, like, there are times and seasons for everything, and everything is for an appointed time. So just do what it is that you have to do in the season that you're in right now. It may not be your season for manifestation in this moment, but as you continue to keep working on what you need to work on and doing what you need to do, you step by step are getting yourself closer to that moment of manifestation, right? So you are writing the vision and making it plain, because as you run, and you need to be reminded and you're feeling weary or whatever, the vision is for an appointed time. So if you don't give up, eventually what you've been working on will manifest. So don't give up, even when the times gets difficult, even when it seems like you may not have any support, and for, and for those times that you feel like you have no support, then maybe what you need to say is, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have everything I need. I have all the support that I need. I have all the resources that I need, right? And call that stuff that feels like it's not into the now, right? And just go through your journey, and you will be better off for it, because the one thing you do want is to be able to enjoy what you've worked so hard for. And you get a chance to do that when you step into that place of truth and you own your truth and you deal with the stuff that's not so pretty about yourself and you own it because that is your truth. And then you allow your new truth to manifest, So, and we all are works in progress, and we will all continue to be works in progress into the day that we pass on or transition, right? But the process doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's just part of the journey, right? It's just part of the journey. So go ahead and write the vision and be very specific about it. So the first one you write down may just be a list of things. Okay, I want to travel. I want to buy a house. I want to get a new car. I want to pay off all my debts. I want to start making some investments. I want to get married. I want to, I'm going to go back to school, whatever. It could just be general stuff, right? Okay, so then after you write the vision, then you're going to want to spend some time and then prioritize that. Okay, all right, so what do I want to do first? Okay, so I want to buy a house, but I got some debt, so maybe I need to pay off some debts and start saving. Okay, I can pay off some debts and then start first, and then start saving money for the house. Okay, so so you've got, you have like a now goal, which is start paying off the debt. And that's leading you to, like an intermediate range goal, which is to buy a house. Okay, so I have a year, this in the next 18 months, I'm going to buy me a house, right? So then there's some other stuff that you can actually be doing too, like, because, there are steps and stuff to take. So while you are paying off your debts, then you can start going and looking at open houses. You can start deciding, okay, what exactly is it that I want to go in that house? So this is when the list starts getting deeper. See what I'm saying? What exactly are the traits that I'm looking for? What are the cities that I'd like to, consider living in? And then you go and start spending some time in those places. Okay, like, is this really a place that I could see myself in? Yeah. And it's funny because sometimes, things may not, as you are on the journey trying to figure stuff out, it may not always, you may find yourself tweaking some stuff, oh, well, I thought I could live there. I don't really like the way it feels. I think I like over here better. That's okay, right? Because at least you know that before you've made the investment into something, right? Okay, well, all right, I want to, so I want to pay my bills off and get myself a house, but I want to have my house paid off in 6 years. Okay, let me figure out what I need to do with myself to do that. Okay, so maybe, maybe one of the things you might need to do is pick up a second job in the meantime so that you can get the debts paid off faster, so that you can get the down payment built up sooner, whatever. All those things make a difference. And so this is where you see it's charting the course. This is how you start to break it down piece by piece to figure out what it is that you need to do, right? Okay, so even for stuff like, I want to be married, right? Well, believe it or not, there's work there that needs to be done too. Okay, so maybe you need to ask yourself, like, is there room in your life for a spouse? Are you busy from sun up to sundown? Like, is there room in your life for a spouse? And if you're busy like that, are you busy because you're filling space because there is no one? Or are you busy because you got, and maybe there's some stuff that you need to win out? Are you emotionally prepared for somebody? Are you a selfish person? Because selfishness and relationships, it's like oil and water, right? Remember, you want to be prepared for what it is that you're going into, you know, and, you know, maybe like, are you over your ex? Have you dealt with, you know, the pain and all of that other stuff that you went through in that last relationship before trying to get yourself into the new one? You don't want to bring all that old stuff into the new relationship and then taint the new relationship, thinking through eyes of mistrust, putting off what you went through with that person on this person. They're two totally different people. Give this person over here a real chance, right? You know, just because that person over there cheated doesn't mean that this person over here is a cheater. Just because that person over there, you know, was very selfish and, you know, spent up all the money and got you into debt doesn't mean that this person over here functions that way, right? And so you need to give each person an opportunity to be who they are, where they are, right? And so, you know, you work on those kinds of things like, you know, do you need to start purging out your house? You know, I mean, so we're thinking about that for a number of different things. Like, because if you're trying to move, do you really need every single thing? We collect a lot of crap. You know, do you really need every single thing it is that's in your house right now? More than likely not. Well, see, so now you're looking at some stuff that you can, you know, you can start to see where the process actually helps other things. Because as you are weaning out the stuff in your house, well, some of that stuff you can sell. You don't have to just give it away or throw it away. Some of that stuff you can sell. Well, if you're selling stuff, doesn't that give you more capital to be able to pay off some debts? Doesn't that give you more capital to be able to save towards your house, your down payment? You see? You know? And so, you know, like there might be some other very specific things. Okay, you may say, you know, yep, I want a new car, but I don't want a car note. Okay, that's great. What is it that you need to do in order to be able to do that, to have that? What specific traits are you looking for in the new vehicle? You know, where is the money going to come from for you to pay cash for the new vehicle? You know, it may even be the same thing with the house. Okay, fine. All right. Yes, absolutely. It's wonderful to not have a mortgage. So what is it that you need to do in order to be able to realistically do what you say that you want to do, right? And I'm not saying, like, you know, for you who like to play the lottery and all that kind of stuff, I'm not saying that you can't play the lottery, you know, but you need something other than just the lotto or the lottery as a plan for your future finances, right? Yeah. Okay. And, you know, I mean, we know that the odds can be against us in that. So we need to have other plans in place, right? Okay. And so, you know, we just go down the list like that. And, you know, for those of you who need to go back to school, okay, well, or you're trying to change careers, or you want to start a business, you know, are there certifications that you need to have? You know, what do the laws state about that? You know, what kind of equipment do you need? How much money are you going to need? You know, to do some of that kind of stuff. Is there, you know, is there a way for you to do like a pilot program first to even make sure there's a need for what it is that you're trying to do, so that you're not wasting money later on? Do you need to find investors? Can you fund it yourself? There's all these little things that you can be doing. You know, perhaps you have all the money you need, and all you need to do is just, you know, tap into one of your investment accounts or something, right? You know, or maybe you got some inheritance. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? You know, to be able to do something that needs to be done. So, you know, but the point is, you know, you write the vision for these reasons, you know, and then you write deeper pieces of the vision as you are on your path, you know, letting all that stuff slough off. You know, and then, you know, you're nice and smooth and ready. Your mindset's there. You know, what kinds of things? Here's one, right? Because sometimes we're afraid of stuff, and, you know, we don't even always acknowledge the fact that we are afraid. So, all right, then we need to ask ourselves, well, what am I really afraid of? You know, you may say that you want a relationship, but maybe you saw your, you know, your parent, you know, being beaten. And so you fear that you may end up attracting somebody who abuses you. Or maybe you've been abused previously, right? So then, like, that's some internal stuff that needs to happen. That might require that you know, get some therapy if you need to. That might require that you have to go through and get some subliminal stuff to start working on your internal blueprint, right? Because, you know, like, we can think things, and if we have errors in our thinking, it's like our brains are kind of like computers. And so, like whatever we put in it kind of stays there until we change it, right? And so, we can say, oh, it's fine. But like, just like if you put an error, type a document and leave the error in the document, every time you print it, that error is going to appear until you go into that computer and change it, right? So, like we may need to work on some stuff like that. Like this is the journey from A to B is a beautiful process if you allow yourself to see it as such. Like it's a time of such growth and clarity and truth in a way that you've never seen truth about yourself, about life, about your situations and experiences with other people. Very important, right? Because, despite whatever it is that life has thrown at you, you're not a victim, right? And so like, there are pieces that we play in how things turn out in our lives too, whether we want to admit that or not. We are just as much a part of how things turn out as the person who may have done some foul things to us. What part did we play in that? That level of ownership is so empowering. Allowing yourself to not be a victim is so empowering, right? Because victims or people who feel victimized feel like they are just, they just have to deal with anything life throws their way. And that's a very unempowering space. But to say, you know what, no, I am not a victim. I am not a victim of life circumstances. I have creative power in my tongue. I have creative power in I have creative power to make my life whatever it is that I want to be. That is so empowering, and we could accomplish so much with that. So I want you to just give those things some thoughts and, really just kind of process that, and recognize your own power and your own strength, and your own ability and your know-how and your willingness to just do it and just, yeah, just be that warrior that you are, that conqueror that you are, and just go out there and just get it and put your blinders on and just take one step in front of the other and just get where it is that you're trying to go. Because, like we said yesterday, like your truth, somebody else is waiting on you to step into that truth because your truth speaks to theirs. There's something that they need that you have that only you can give them in the way that you can. So you need to go ahead and own all of that. And there is no part of your journey that is not a significant part of that journey. That's not valuable. That's not needed. That's not necessary for where it is that you're going. So just embrace it, embrace it for the beautiful time in your life that it is, so that when you finally get to that place, you'll really just appreciate it and value it, because you will have known what you had to go through to get it. There's nothing worse than somebody who's just given stuff so easily all the time, but they don't appreciate what it is they have. I don't know about you, but I can't stand an unappreciative spirit, whether that's for my child or anybody else, right? Don't take for granted, the stuff's supposed to just be handed to you. Nobody owes you anything, right? And so, having a little struggle, having stuff not be handed to us, having to work for stuff actually makes us not only appreciate it better when it comes, but also allows for us to be able to really know how to work it and value it in the way that we need to. So I just wanted to, to say those things to you. And I hope that this has been a helpful message. If you like what I'm talking about, by all means, please, subscribe to the channel, hit like, share it on your social media channels, make comments, down below. Love to hear your thoughts on what it is that you have to say about these messages. It is always my goal and my desire to just empower you to live your absolute best life. And so whatever is in the way for you being able to do that, those are the things that I want to be able to get in there and just bust that stuff wide open, right? So that you can live the life that you were created for. If you are not following me on social media, please feel free to do so. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google Plus. I feel like I'm missing one. Whatever. Pretty much all of them, right? It's Tumika Patrice. That's Tumika, Patrice, Patrice. And my website is tumikapatrice.com, and go there and check out my books, and of course purchase my books, because with all the things that I do, I just aim to just empower. So, I write fiction, but it's fiction that people can just really relate to, and come away feeling like, yes, like these are people that I know. And, and for you poetry lovers, I've got some of that stuff in there for you as well. Of course, there's my blog articles and things like that, and other things that I'm doing. So go ahead and go to the website and, subscribe and check it all out, and just, plug into what it is that I'm doing. And of course, share the messages with people, because, I'm all about empowering folks. So, and empowerment is not a selfish process. I can't empower you and yet keep everything to myself. Right. And so, there are people out there who need these words. So please share. You just never know. It might be a right now word for somebody. Somebody's been looking for something. And, you have the ability to be the blessing that person needs, the answer to that person's prayers, just by hitting a simple like and share, right? So go ahead and please do so. Okay. Sorry about that. Had a weird connection thing going on there for just a second. But, so go ahead and, and share the information, but I'm going to sign off, on that note, wishing you all a very pleasant evening, and just so happy and excited for you on your journey towards authenticity and living an absolutely abundant and amazing life. This is Tumika Patrice Cain signing off, changing lives one word at a time. Good night.